Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jason White. This is Jason's Weird Reads. Thank you for joining me. If you're new here and you like horror books, science fiction, and fantasy, click the subscribe button and comment down below and we'll discuss some books. So recently I was sent this book in exchange for an honest review, and Armageddon House by Michael Griffin. I have to admit, I kind of went in with being biased, only in the way that I enjoy this author's work, what I have read of it so far, and so I had a feeling I'd like it, and I wasn't wrong. So I want to thank, before I get into this review, I again want to thank Underdow Publications for sending this book to me, Michael Kelly, who runs that publication, and Michael Griffin for setting it up. And so I figured that for this one I would read my Goodreads review just as a refresher. It's been a little while. I've been meaning to do this video for a long time, and things just keep getting in the way, as fellow booktubers probably know. So I labeled this as bloody brilliant, and I stand by that. This book, Armageddon House, it starts off relatively reminiscent of stories depicting dystopian rule, and but there's a lot of isolation in this. Four characters. There's four main characters. Their names are Mark, Jenna, Polly, and Grayson, and they are isolated in what's assumed to be an underground bunker of some sort. Or maybe it's a deep government secret testing facility. You don't know. All you know is that they have their daily routines, and there's things they're supposed to do during each time of the day, and which one of them includes going to take their medication, which is interesting. So there's a lot of tension between the characters, as I'd imagine could happen if you have four people just thrown together, two men, two women. And each character has their own sort of personality that lends itself to the tension within this book. There's a bully. There's somebody who has a mental illness of some sort. A leader. And what could very well be a passive-aggressive psychopath. At about the halfway of this book, you start to break away from what you assume is the routine of what these guys do daily, and the story starts to get weird. I mean, this is technically a weird fiction book. Michael Griffin is well known within the weird fiction genre, and so the story just gets weirder and weirder as it goes until the end. I mean, the whole thing it comes to one hell of a climatic and strange ending that left me think. There is no twist ending in this, I don't think. I didn't read it that way anyway. It's more about the journey as to what these four characters are going through, and you begin to wonder what exactly is happening to these people. But this is the stuff I like to read because it keeps you thinking as you read along. I was continuously trying to figure out what was going on, and I'm pretty sure Michael Griffin knew that that's what you're trying to do. Yeah, you do question that from the very beginning, but once it has its hooks into you, which for me happened rather quickly, it just pulls you right into the story, and you're this mystery, this idea of what's going on, pulls you throughout the rest of the story. So I'm not going to say whether or not the answer as to what exactly is going on in this book comes to us, to the reader. I don't think, honestly, that an answer would even be important. And I only say this because I know there's going to be people who will want a definitive answer. And if you do want a definitive answer, and maybe don't read this book, but if you want a journey into the mind as to what it's like to be human, all encapsulated into this one story of isolation and strange reality, perhaps. I think you could definitely say, because reality does start to warp in this book, and it changes, and you begin to question not only the characters but the the reality in which they're in. And that's the best way I can describe it without going into too much detail. Ultimately, this is the type of book I love to read, and I highly recommend it, especially if you want to check out weird fiction. If you've never read anything that's technically weird fiction, I would highly suggest checking this out, because it gives you a good taste. It starts off fairly normal, but as it goes, it just gets weirder and weirder, and until it's just bonkers crazy. And and to me, that's pretty much what weird fiction's all about. I really enjoyed the characters in this book, because each character had their role to play. They had their element, and nobody ever really broke from that. The characters just came off very real to me, and I could believe them. They were just real people. A lot of people, there's that argument about black and white and morally gray characters. I think all these characters are gray, honestly. I think they all have their own thing going. And so, yeah, that's, I just want to mention the writing too. The writing is very, very tight, and it's not exactly like other pieces of weird fiction where you're struggling to understand the writing. I had no issues with trying to figure out sentences and what they mean in this book. It's very easy to read, and honestly, I think this is going to make a best of. It's going to make my top 10 at the end of the year, I'm fairly certain. Alright, so that is my review of Armageddon House by Michael Griffin. Thank you for watching, and I hope you're all doing well out there and keeping safe. So I'm going to end it here. Keep being creative, and catch you guys in the next bookish video.